Today on Sports Card Investor, I'm joined by the Soccer Cooligans from Fubo TV as we have some fun talking soccer cards to invest in. My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Sports card investors, and welcome to another episode. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful weekend, and we're going to make it a little better today because I've got some great guests who are going to bring some humor and some real knowledge of soccer. They're going to collide for a great entertaining conversation about soccer card investing. I am bringing on Alexis and Christian from the Cooligans. The Cooligans is a soccer show. It's a podcast. It's a show on Fubo TV. And of course, across all the social media channels at Soccer Cooligans. Alexis and Christian are very, very knowledgeable soccer fans who really know their stuff, but they're also stand-up comedians by trade. So as you can imagine, their show is really entertaining. It's a lot of fun. And today we're going to talk a bit about everything that's going on in soccer, and more importantly, where soccer card investing opportunities may lie and what has been happening in the soccer card market. All of the graphs of soccer cards and all of the price change data that you are going to see in today's show is all from our Market Movers data platform. We are tracking more and more soccer cards within Market Movers. We've been adding a ton of soccer cards into our Market Movers database for tracking. And if you are interested in finding out more about Market Movers and watching the price trends of soccer cards, you can go to sportscardinvestor.com and click on Market Movers in the main menu bar. All right, guys, let's jump into the episode. Without further ado, please welcome Christian and Alexis from the Cooligans. Alexis and Christian, welcome to Sports Card Investor.
Hey, what's going on?
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you on the show today. So you guys are quite the hit in the soccer world. Tell me a little more right off the bat here about your show.
We're both stand-up comedians. Christian and I are both independent stand-up comedians. We've been professional stand-ups for about a little over 10 years now. And about 5 years ago, we met. We were hanging out as comics, and we decided to go to soccer games. We made everyone around us laugh. So we said, hey, why don't we do this on microphones? Started a podcast, and now it's been a TV show for a little over a year on Fubo Sports Network.
That is the rundown. And as we're recording this, we are premiering our 100th episode on Fubo Sports Network. So that's pretty exciting as well.
That's awesome. Do you guys still do live comedy gigs? I mean, I guess probably not as much at the moment with COVID, but are you normally out doing stand-up at night sometimes?
Sometimes there's outdoor shows. I'm here in the city, which is a little bit more active as far as comedy is concerned. So I've done a bunch of outdoor shows, and I've written new jokes since COVID. But for about 4 or 5 months there, no spot. That's the longest I've gone without spots, probably since my 3rd or 4th year in comedy. So it's been rough, but hopefully it continues to grow, and maybe the weather holds up for a little bit. We can keep doing outdoor shows.
I want to do stand-up in the snow. I can't wait.
Yeah.
We'll be there soon. Awesome. Well, it's great to have you guys. There is nothing funny about Messi's relationship with Barcelona right now. So maybe we start there right off the bat because that's been the headlines, it seems like, of the soccer world. What is going on, and what is that going to look like when he takes the field for Barcelona here?
Well, Jeff, I don't want to say there's nothing funny. Humor is subjective. We can find something to laugh at him about.
Real Madrid fans are laughing the entire time, to be completely honest with you. I think for the lack of a better term, it seems to be getting messy. Am I right, everybody? I think come on, the kid still got it. I think the longer it goes, the better it is for us, because we talk about what's happening in soccer. So when they're happy and just winning trophies, that's not as much fun to talk about,
Pretty much, yeah. They look. There's a lot of drama. We spent a lot of time talking about it on our show, but Messi is obviously, I guess, arguably the greatest that's ever played the game. He will be fine. He will be a professional, even though Barcelona is due for one of the worst seasons they're about to have. So it's going to be interesting.
So and why do we think they're going to have such a bad season? And what you're telling me there is, as a holder of Messi cards, maybe I should be a little bit worried about his price trajectory, or maybe not, because maybe he's got enough of the, GOAT status that it's kind of like, what's another accomplishment for him at this point? Because he's already been baked in as one of the greatest of all time.
I can imagine the price will fluctuate a little bit, but wherever he's going to go, he's going to, unless he's so expensive that he may go to a team that really can't afford many other pieces around him. But if they're able to work that offer, actually after next season, he's free. So, he may very well go. He may bring championships wherever he goes. But yeah, Barcelona, I mean, how are you going to replace Messi? You know what I mean? That's impossible. That's like, you spilled coffee on the Mona Lisa. What are you going to replace it with? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but look, it's not only that. I mean, Messi has had a turbulent time this offseason, but they've gotten rid of Rakitic, Suarez, Vidal, Semedo. The team is going to look completely different. They hate the president of the team at the moment. Literally, like, the entire city of Barcelona cannot stand this man. Yeah. They want him to resign. So that those that tumultuousness that is currently going on in the club is going to spill over on the pitch. So I don't expect them to do well, but I do expect Messi to continue to do what he does. He's going to get a bunch of goals, but as far as team success, I don't expect too much from them.
Well, it's definitely going to be a messy season, as you said. Goodness. Well, I got his card prices up here on the screen. We're going to look at his 2014 World Cup Prism soccer card, and this is just his base card in raw. But the card had such an incredible run for so much of this year. This was a card that, back in March, before people were paying a whole lot of attention to soccer cards, this card was, sub $5. I mean, it was like a $2 or $3 card. Started to creep up as we got into May, and people were paying more attention to soccer cards, and the sports card market in general was being fueled during COVID with incredible growth. But even then, it was still only about a $30 to $40 card, and it's, of course, gone up and up and up. And at its peak, back in August, this card got all the way up to almost $500. Now it's back down quite a bit since then, but I mean, it's still at this point consistently, $125 to $150. So for those of you out there who were buying this card up for less than $5 back in March, you're certainly pretty happy with your return now. It's interesting, and I'm curious if the drop in the card price here, the soccer card market in general, much like the basketball card market, got almost a little bit overheated. So you saw these incredible prices going up through August, but then as we started to get into later August and September, prices have come back down to earth some. So this graph is something here that we've seen with other soccer cards as well. But I wonder if with Messi, it could be a little extra fueled by, the situation with Barcelona. I wonder if his drop is a little more severe, which it is, quite a severe drop, because people's expectations for this next season are just not great. It sounds like people should not have much expectation in terms of what he's going to be able to do, trying to carry that team on his back.
Yeah, I mean, for someone like Messi, his club career has carried, his image and his perception, because his national team career just hasn't been great when you compare it to someone like Diego Maradona, who's the greatest Argentinian of all time and won the World Cup. Messi made it to a World Cup final, but it still hasn't won and just hasn't found a lot of success on the international market. So I'm on the international teams and stuff. So I'm starting to think that's probably why just a little bit of rockiness in his club career, which is all he really has caused such a drop.
These, if you look at the dates, literally you can kind of probably match it up to the times where he said he was leaving, to when the news came out that his father said that he should be allowed to go, and all that stuff. So now that, as soon as he said, I'm gonna stay, I think that's where you see the price kind of regulate itself. But
So
Yeah.
the longer he takes photos not smiling in a Barcelona shirt, the more that price goes down.
Pretty much.
But you made an interesting point that he's going to be free to move anywhere next year, right? And so if he can, what we see in basketball is or we see it in football as well, is that if a player moves to a new team or gets traded in the offseason and they end up with, a team with a better prospects, better outlooks, more possibilities of winning a championship, that player almost certainly sees an immediate boost in their card prices. Whether it was Anthony Davis going to the Lakers this past offseason who saw that, or in football this past offseason, it was DeAndre Hopkins who moved to the Arizona Cardinals. Not that their prospects were necessarily that much better than the Houston Texans, but people got really excited about the connection with Kyler Murray, and it helped, both of those guys' card prices. So you see that type of thing happen in sports. And in soccer, it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see where he goes and if people think it's a really good landing spot for him and whether that could give him a boost. Maybe for people who are thinking about possibly investing now during this dip, maybe it's an opportunity. Do you guys have any predictions on where he might end up next year and what that might look like?
The main there's only so few teams that can even afford to pay his salary, right?
Yeah, his wages are out of those.
They're unbelievable. They're literally like $1 million a week. It's insane how much he gets paid. And the team that he's most likely going to go to is Manchester City. He will reunite with his old manager at Barcelona, Pep Guardiola. And they're really. Maybe PSG is like the other team he could possibly go to, but there's
also, because he's free, the rumor is he may go home and play with Newell's Old Boys, a team in Argentina that he came up with. That was the team that he was in the academy with when he was young. I don't think that's going to happen yet because I still think he has like 2 or 3 years at a very high level. But if that happens, I would assume the price is going to plummet. If he goes to Manchester City, I'm assuming the price is going to go up. PSG price goes up because those are perennial champions. Those are in the Champions League. Those are perennial winners. If he goes to Newell's Old Boys, I mean, you might as well forget he existed as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be fascinating. All right, well, his prices have been, not on the rise over the last couple of months. Let's look at some guys who have been. So this that I brought up on the screen here, this is the leaderboard over the last 60 days of soccer cards with the most increases. I chose 60 days because over the last 30 days, the entire soccer card market has softened some. So we see a lot of, the increases over the last 30 days, a lot of guys have been negative. But if we rewind and look over the last 60 days, while a lot of that fever was really picking up, I mean, there's some incredible names and percentage increases on here. Kingsley Coman's cards overall up 811%. And you can see on down here, how much some of these guys have gone up and up. Are there any names on this list which kind of catch your eye in particular of guys who are worth that increase, of guys who could be looking at, a really good year ahead and may prove this value out and then some?
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say like this before we even get to those names. I'm the biggest surprise here to me is Leroy Sané, who was a Manchester City player that went to Bayern Munich, and he is German. He is on the verge. He really should be an absolute superstar, but he was left off the roster for the last World Cup. Am I right, Alexis?
I believe so. Yeah, he's a young guy, really young. And there might be an issue in the locker room. He might not. He might have an attitude. I don't know what the issue is. But
it made no sense that he was left off the team. But now that he's left Manchester City to go to Bayern, he's already played, I think, 1 or 2 matches, and he's looked absolutely incredible. Looks like he's been playing with Bayern for years. So that is the one guy that I think, as far as being maybe a leader especially on the German national team in the 2022 World Cup, Leroy Sané has a lot of potential.
Of all those names, he's one of the 2 or 3 that I think has the longest potential outside of Alphonso Davies and Giovanni Reyna.
Sure, and I just called up Sané's last 90 days here. I'm looking at his 2018 World Cup Prism card in raw. And you can see the trend line increase on this card. This card was a card that, if you go back 90 days ago, was about $5. maybe just a little bit over $5. You could buy that card for pretty consistently on eBay. And it peaked, like many soccer cards, it peaked kind of in mid-August. It got all the way up to about $47, close to $50. So about a 10x increase over the course of about a month and a half. But, it's come down a bit since then. But, I mean, it's still a very nice card. It's a $20 plus $25 type of card. And again, a card that was, less than $5, or, right around $5 if you go back, 90 days ago. So, yeah, so people are pretty high, but, high on his potential. But honestly, those card prices are still inexpensive compared to some other guys you see out there from 2018 World Cup Prism. So if he can turn into that type of player, I mean, this could be a guy who still to this day is very much worth investing in.
You look at Kingsley Coman, which is the top of your list, which is a huge shock to me. Great player, but he was someone who was instrumental in the Champions League final, but really wasn't starting in through the Champions League until that moment. He was placed. He was like sort of one of the big changes for the final, and he scores the goal. The fact that his car shot up at that, and you got Leroy Sané then going to Bayern Munich, which looks like they will win the Champions League again. They just look so strong. I can only imagine that that's what that bump is coming from, that this is very much Champions League driven. Players like Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, obviously incredible with Liverpool. They won the league for the first time in so many years. Well, actually, they won the Premier League for the first time. They won the top flight for the first time in, I think, over 18 years, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, Serge Gnabry and Robert Lewandowski, but Alphonso Davies as well.
Yeah, and I just add here that the list that we're looking at right now has 6 Bayern Munich players on it. So obviously the heat of the Champions League and that, like, their dominant run throughout that competition is probably what is affecting a lot of the prices here. But and we have to obviously go to Giovanni Reyna when it comes to who is going to be an absolute star. He hasn't even gotten a senior team call up with the U.S. men's national team, and is absolutely thriving at Borussia Dortmund. And
rumor broke today that Liverpool is considering buying him.
Yeah, so if something like that happens in the next 2-3 years, you're gonna want to have a Gio Reyna card now, because if he becomes a Premier League player similar to Christian Pulisic and making that move, he obviously the value is gonna skyrocket.
Well, you just mentioned 2 of the guys from the U.S. men's national team that have gotten the most international exposure, and I think. What's interesting is these soccer cards, many of them are being collected by U.S. collectors who have, their knowledge and exposure to international soccer it's growing, but it's in many ways, I think it's, we're more limited over here in our exposure to it. And so I wonder if the market over here is a little bit more reactionary. You mentioned like how so many of these players are from, the Champions League teams and that type of thing. And well, that makes sense, right? Because you score the one goal in the Champions League finals and that is going to make news over here and people are going to see your name and your card prices are going to go up as a result. Perhaps for the more seasoned international soccer fan, that you have a little more opportunity to not necessarily react to the news so quickly, but maybe be a little more selective and project out into the future who could become big, which is what a lot of people do over here when it comes to baseball prospecting and when it comes to basketball rookies and all that type of thing. But America's depth of soccer knowledge as a whole, is obviously, it just doesn't get as much coverage over here. Although obviously now with the internet and international channels and everything like that, that's certainly beginning to change. But you mentioned 2 of the big guys from the U.S. national team who are making noise abroad. And I'm curious to get your impressions on Reyna versus Pulisic. You just mentioned, how I guess between the 2, Reyna's the younger player and perhaps a little bit less proven, but it seems like certainly in recent weeks that is he the one with a greater upside?
I think at the moment, yes, because he's playing in the Premier League. So if you're looking long term, All signs are pointing at Gio Reyna. I'm talking Pulisic.
Okay.
Pulisic is already in the Premier League. He's at Chelsea, which is a big club. He's injured at the moment, but he seems to be an integral part of the team. The coach seems to have a lot of confidence in him and starts him. Gio Reyna, incredible, has a great connection with Erling Haaland, who's the striker there, seems to be getting a lot of assists, just scored his first goal for Dortmund. But Dortmund is seen as a place where you develop as a youth player, and then you move on to a bigger club, whether that be Bayern Munich and stay in Germany, or you go to the Premier League. It looks like that's the track for Reyna, so maybe Reyna has a bigger jump. But I think if Pulisic can score a couple of goals and get a couple of assists in the Premier League, there's no bigger spotlight, there's no bigger stage at the moment than the Premier League.
Yeah, and yeah, to add to what Alexis just said, Pulisic, as he not only is he playing in the Premier League, which was a big shock that he got sold to Chelsea and they paid $72 million to transfer fee to get him, which, as an American soccer fan, you see that, and that you hear that number for, a South American kid that is going to be an absolute star and things like that. So we're not used to hearing that about American players. And then
a kid from Hershey, Pennsylvania, you know what I mean? And then happened.
And then he gets there, and not only does he, adapt and adjust, he is on some nights he is Chelsea's best player. And they would not win games if he wasn't on the pitch. So the biggest concern, I think, pretty much everyone has for Christian Pulisic is that he's had a string of injuries. But when it comes to, how much Chelsea is going to rely on him and how much the U.S. men's national team is going to rely on him, it is going to be tremendous, right? They missed the World Cup in 2018. Pulisic was on that squad. He was played in that game that they lost to Trinidad, and he was absolutely devastated. And I think by 2022, he's going to be an important figure. But honestly, by 2026, when the World Cup is in the United States, I mean, if things are going and if this trend as the line that we're looking at right now, it is only going to go up and up for Pulisic, because we know that he is also. He's always said that he's a Liverpool fan and that Jurgen Klopp is a big fan of him. So that could possibly be his next move. If he ends up on a Liverpool team coached by Jurgen Klopp, who knows what the ceiling is for this kid.
So to give perspective for your non-soccer fans, he has the John Morant chip on his shoulder from getting not drafted or not picked by any college, all of that little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Nice guy, great with the media, great with his teammates, but he has a list of people that got drafted before him or they got picked before him that he wants to do better than. That's Christian Pulisic, because he was on the field at Trinidad and Tobago when we didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And you can see the trend line on your screen. His cards have been going insane. This is his 2016 Select card in Raw. This is the mezzanine level card. That's what that one looks like. And I mean, this was a card that was, $10 to $20 back in April and May. And, this thing hasn't come down a lot, right? Like, while a lot of the soccer card market has really dipped over the last, month or so, this one's held strong. It's a $150 card right now. And so, and I think there's sustainable interest around this guy for sure. I thought that this was real interesting too. This is his field level raw card, which is a nicer version, essentially the same card, a short print version of the card. And this one is actually going for less money. Now, I guess that's because this is in his club jersey, right? Whereas this one,
Chelsea.
Yeah, right, and it was before, obviously, he ended up with Chelsea, whereas this is his national team jersey. So the mezzanine version of the card in the national team jersey is the one that's getting more heat right now in terms of his card prices, even though the field level card, from an aesthetic standpoint, I prefer, and it's actually much more rare of the two cards. But both of those cards come from 2016 Select Soccer, so that's a really good set. If we go over and we look at some of Reyna's cards, so Reyna's cards are from 2019 Topps Chrome, Bundesliga soccer, and that's what these cards look like. And so you can see this card right here. Obviously, the very first sale of this card was insanely high, but it take that one out of account, And this card, when it hit the market back in August, this was actually July, was around 45, $50. It's inched up some. I mean, this card's now about $200. So it's actually now inched up quite a bit. Heat around this card's been building during a time when the soccer card market overall has been softening somewhat. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Which one of these two guys, would you rather own at this point a 2019 Reyna for around $200, or would you rather own that 2016 Pulisic for, a little bit below that price point, but kind of in the same type of ballpark?
I'd rather own the Reyna, and if you have fans watching, don't be scared that he looks like a 45-year-old retired boxer. He is a child. It's just his face,
No, but look, I think by 2026, these guys are going to be the leaders of the U.S. men's national team, and
we're hosting a World Cup.
I mean, they're going to be superstar. I mean, like it's possible. Christian Pulisic, in my opinion, could be. I'm trying to think if, how Mia Hamm in '99 was just absolutely everywhere, every marketing campaign, that's where I think Christian Pulisic could be. He could be as marketable as Mia Hamm was during that time. I mean,
one bus passes by, he's holding a Snickers bar. The other bus passes by, he's holding Head and Shoulders. It could be that.
Yeah. Gio Reyna's a little young, so he's not hasn't put himself out there as much, but Christian Pulisic already in the Premier League, already has a very composed, has a great personality. So yeah, I would, in my opinion, I would go with, if I had to pick between the two cards, I would pick Pulisic.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. And you just made a great point. I've said it on the show a couple times before. If those of you watching think that sports cards are going to be anywhere close to as hot as they are today in the year 2026, which I personally believe, I think they could cool down some between now and then, but I still think there's going to be a lot of appetite and market for sports cards in 2026. Yeah, the idea that the World Cup is coming to America and, Pulisic and Reyna could be the two stars of that team. This does seem like a pretty good opportunity, to take a flyer on these guys and purchase some of these cards, which, when compared to the amount of money that people are spending on, basketball cards of less proven, basketball rookies from this year. And by the way, those cards are way more widely printed. So there's way more of those cards available. The Pulisic rookie, the Reyna rookie, there's many fewer of those produced. So you're going to have more scarcity of those cards naturally. I think that even for non-soccer fans, it makes sense to take a flyer on those guys and pick some of their cards up and hope that what you just predicted comes true, and Pulisic is, on every street corner, holding a Starbucks coffee in every ad come 2026.
Yeah, I think it's a good investment for sure.
Now, are there other players? Are there other U.S.-based players right now that are worthy of people tracking? Besides for those two, in terms of either what they could do for maybe the national team in 2026 or 2022, or just in terms of being able to build any type of international stardom?
I think Weston McKennie just got sold to Juventus, which is the biggest club. They are the most highly sought after club in all of Italy. Their badge is actually now a brand. So like Juventus is now like the J of their logo is now like clothing brand. And it's just like, it's wild. It's like they've built themselves into a media empire, and to be a part of that team is a significant bump up from where he was in the German league at a team called Schalke, which doesn't really have a big name recognition. So his brand, and he started and played full 90 minutes, his brand will build along with being just a member of Juventus, which is guaranteed to be in the Champions League. They're most likely going to win the Serie A, which is the Italian league, hands down, very easily. It's kind of like being on the Patriots when Tom Brady was there. Your stock immediately goes up because you're playing in that system. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think Weston McKennie is probably one of the ones that maybe wasn't on your list, but we've talked about before, just being a men's team player, his stock will rise.
Yeah, I can be. That's who I was thinking of as well. Playing at Juve is huge for an American. Am I wrong in saying I don't think any other American has played for Juventus?
I can't recall. I want to say that Alexi Lalas did back in the day, but I can't recall that for sure.
I do not think he did. He played in Italy, but not for them. I know like Michael Bradley played in Roma. Yeah. But yeah, I think I mean, realistically, like he's playing on one of the most popular teams in the world. He, is seen he plays with Cristiano Ronaldo. You take
his
a photo.
Coach is Pirlo, who's
his
a god.
coach is Pirlo. Like as soon as he's in a photo with any of these people, he is gonna be immediately known by almost half the world. So,
like if you tracked his Instagram followers, that chart would be shooting up because he's playing on such a high profile team with such high profile people. So I feel like that's the one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good. All right. Well, we will definitely keep track of him as well and make sure that we're watching his charts too. All right. So I know the Premier League just recently got underway, and tell me what we can expect this season, and are there any names out of that league that we should be keeping an eye on?
I mean, as far as young players to look at, I think a player like Saka, who's on Arsenal, incredible midfielder / winger. It looks like he got left off the English national team, and there was, people were flipping out. People were going nuts about it. There was a big buzz about the fact that he should have been picked. So someone like him already has just a groundswell of support from the English. I think someone like him will get opportunities. Seems to be on a really good team. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm an Arsenal fan. They've only lost 2 matches the entirety of of 2020 when the new manager took over. So it seems like that team is on the up and up, and it seems like he's one of those players that's in perfect position. That's a position of need, and they're going to be able to sort of bubble.
Yeah, and I would say I'm, Alexis is an Arsenal fan. I'm an Everton fan. Everton signed James Rodriguez. He is a Colombian international, came from Real Madrid. He was kind of like on the outs, like he really couldn't get many minutes while he was playing at Madrid. And but he's a proven champion. He's won titles. He got loaned out to Germany, to Bayern Munich. Won there as well, but for whatever reason, his coach Zinedine Zidane just did not really believe in him. He ended up moving to Everton and is looking comfortable. He's looking great. He's playing well. He's playing with a coach that he's played with before, and he is just one of the most. He is the most popular player in Colombia. He has more followers on like Instagram than the team he's even going to. So that happens often in soccer, where people say, "Oh, he's bigger than the club." In this, from an analytics and social media perspective, he really is, right? He is more well known than the club itself. So the club spent a lot of money to kind of advertise in a lot of like Latin markets that like, hey, we signed this incredible Colombian player. Pay attention to the team, follow the team now. Our games are on television and stuff like that. So James Rodriguez, I think, has the as far as one of the players in the Premier League that will be a bit of a surprise. He's not a young upstart like some others, but I think there's a lot of potential for his card and his value just as a player to rise in the next couple of years.
That's some good advice. I appreciate it. And I know you guys don't talk about soccer cards on your show, although maybe this is inspiring you to, buy some boxes and talk about them a little bit. But I know you obviously do talk a lot of soccer. Tell the audience a little more about what they can expect when they tune in and also how to find you guys.
For your fans, I think probably the most impressive thing that we hear is people that aren't soccer fans love the show and laugh throughout it. My wife, who doesn't know the first thing about soccer, loves it. She laughs. She says, my friends find it funny. She's a nurse, so they sometimes will listen to it while they're on their shift, which is, throughout this, and New York City has been very difficult for them. So anything that gives them a little bit of a lighter mood, I'm sure would be a huge help. So that, for me, I think is one of the biggest compliments we've ever received is people who don't like soccer say they love the show.
Yeah, and it's very much a comedy show before it's a soccer show. But the people, if you love soccer, you're going to just enjoy the show even a bit more, because obviously there'll be a lot more details and things that you can follow. But I mean, we don't really talk about cards, but on behind Alexis, we put those cards up. That is a soccer card wall of all Major League Soccer cards that we got on eBay. So we may have contributed to these trends right over here that we're looking at.
People were like, oh my God, these 2012 cards are hot. There's some fat guy in Brooklyn buying them all.
You could be the trendsetter. You don't even know. People are watching the show. Go ahead.
I was just going to add, and to catch our show, obviously the Cooligans, you can watch it on Fubo Sports Network. It is on the Fubo TV app and the streaming platform, and you can watch it for free at FuboSportsNetwork.com every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time, and you can follow us at Soccer Cooligans on all social media. We're on Twitter a lot and on Instagram. So and YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube as well.
And if you have a Samsung Smart TV or a Vizio Smart TV, our face pops up every 8 times you turn on your TV.
There you go. You will forever haunt people with your face constantly popping up. What makes soccer and comedy blend together so well?
Us.
It couldn't happen without us, Jeff. No, I mean, I think for every other sport, especially in this country, there is always some sort of comedic outlet. We have tons of friends, other comedian friends that do podcasts or shows about a particular sport or a particular subject or whatever. But for whatever reason, there haven't really been comedians talking about soccer pretty much anywhere. We thought we were just gonna like do this fun thing or whatever, and then after a couple months, when we started as a podcast, we were like, no, why hasn't anyone really done this? How come no comedians haven't really embraced soccer? And then we embrace American soccer even more, and that is what I think has drawn a fan base, because people are like, we've gotten so many messages of people like, I've been waiting for a show like this for years. I don't know why no one has done it, and we're just two comics, and we grinded it out on the scene for years, and then we started talking about soccer, and all of a sudden we found a real
our chart started to go that way.
All right, well, go register sportscardcomedians.com, and let's get that show going too.
Let's do it.
I like it. Hey, thanks so much, Alexis, Christian. I really appreciate both of you joining us on Sports Card Investor.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us. This was a blast.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Christian and Alexis. The Cooligans are a lot of fun, and go give them a follow. They are Soccer Cooligans on your various social channels and on your YouTube, Soccer Cooligans. And of course, you can also find them on Fubo TV as well. And if you liked all of the data and charts that we talked about in today's episode, that is all from our Market Movers data platform. We are tracking tons of soccer cards in Market Movers, and we are adding more and more every single day. You can subscribe to Market Movers by going to sportscardinvestor.com and clicking on Market Movers in the main menu bar. Final request: please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the little bell icon to be notified of new episodes like this one if you haven't already. All right, that's it, guys. I'll let you get back on with your day. I really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back in a couple of days for your next episode of Sports Card Investor.